Welcome to the Finding the Magic podcast, where books come alive. I'm Tricia Copeland, a fiction author and host of this show. If you love books, finding great reads, and hearing about the story behind the story directly from the authors, this is the place for you. Whether you like fantasy, science fiction, dystopian, or romance titles, I think you'll find something to love in my playlist. Listen in to discover something magical about a book or two today.
Hi, Hemie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for being here. Today we have young adult fantasy author Hemie Yao with us. She came in last year with her first book. Okay, and you have to help me. The Truth of Club, what is the name? Truth of Club?
Munshan.
Munshan, thank you. Her first book is The Mission, and your new release coming out this month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is The Ancient Text.
Yes.
Set us up with the characters. Oh, and your covers are amazing. They're so pretty. Set us up with the characters and maybe a little bit about the first book and what we might find in the second book.
My overall series turns thousand-year-old Chinese mythology to life. It's about an Italian girl, Casti, a human who grows up in China and attends this school full of Munshan. Munshan are door gods, whose entire purpose in life is to serve gods by protecting gates from evil. Now, the sequel that recently came out, The Ancient Texts, has two intertwining plot lines. The first, solve a murder of their dead principal, and the second, to to find a stolen ancient book to save their school. It continues this seemingly small plot line in the first book where the main characters solve a riddle. Now in this book, they figure out that this riddle might lead to the ancient book, so they set out on a mission. Of course, it isn't easy. Cassidy is cursed with bad luck in a fight, and now she has to overcome the feeling of everything she does being a mistake. And then there's the added pressure of something else following them and trying to beat them to the book. So, in the end, the two plot lines meet, leading to a climax, and then going into more mysteries. Throughout this book, there'll be hints at the final goal of this series and the overall plot, which I plan to deepen as the series goes on.
Fun, thank you. And what are the stakes? I read a little bit of the back blurb of the book. It sounds like pretty high stakes for these kids. What's involved here?
So the stakes are that their school is going to shut down because this ancient book has information on how to start this temple up that'll help their school.
Okay, interesting. How did you start writing these books? How did you come up with the idea?
So basically, one day I had came home with my family and I fell down onto the couch and an idea popped in my head. And before that, I had really just loved reading and writing. And I was reading this Percy Jackson series and I was just fascinated that all the Greek myths he wrote about were from actual stories in ancient times. So when I got the idea, when I fell down onto the couch, my mind just like went to like myths, and that's how I eventually branched it off and went to my book.
Okay, and did you do a lot of research on Chinese mythology, or was that background you already knew?
Yeah, I'd done a bit of research for this book, and one of my myths that I actually liked a lot was of Sun Wukong, aka Monkey King. He's really famous in China because of his interesting characters and funny stories. For example, he stole and ate the flat peach of immortality. He can shapeshift and tricks people a lot, and he can only lost one battle out of hundreds. He's actually plays a pretty big role in my book.
Oh, neat. That's so interesting. And your main character, her name is Cassidy, and she's
Yeah.
an Italian. Is she Italian living in China then?
Yes, actually. She's Italian. The fact that she's Italian plays a pretty big role in her backstory and the reason for how her parents brought her over to China.
Okay, interesting. And why did you choose to write about an Italian character in China?
So, when her parents brought her over to China, something happened to them that made her become an orphan, and so she couldn't leave China at that point. So that's why she's Italian.
Oh, okay. And is that why she goes to this school? Are they
Yeah.
all orphans in this school?
Well, it's not the reason for why she's at this school, but it's part of why she is who she is and how she got to China in the first place.
Okay, interesting. Wow, this sounds like such a multi-layered story. And last time we talked, I was so impressed with how young you were when you wrote this book. How old were you when you started writing?
I started writing when I was 10.
You were 10. Oh my goodness. You started this book when you were 10? Or your first book when you were
My
10?
first book when I was 10, and I published this book when I was 14, like last month.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That's so exciting. How long did it take? So it took you about 2 years to write the first book?
Yes,
And how long did it take you to write the second book?
about a year and a half.
Okay. And how long do you work on it every day or just a couple times a week? What does that
I
look like?
try to work on it every day. I try to set a goal of about 2,500 words per week.
Okay. That's a pretty high goal, actually. It takes a good long time. Do you plan everything out? So do you have an outline of what you're writing, or do you kind of go with the flow?
So when I write, I like to have like a clear goal of where my scene is headed and the goal, the conflict, how it progresses the story. And then when I write, I fill in all the little details as I go.
Okay, interesting. And how did you learn to write? Did you just pick this up in school, pick it up by reading?
So I really just learned to write by doing it. Since I was in fifth grade when I started writing, they didn't really teach you how to do creative writing. So I really just learned from like watching YouTube and like reading websites about writing and then improves my writing that way.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I did it as an adult, but I don't think I would have had the bandwidth to do it as a teenager. What is the date of your release? Is it this week?
It was on May 13th.
May 13th. Okay, congratulations, double congratulations. And it looks like you're going to have a third book in the series
Yes, and the fourth.
and a fourth. Oh my goodness. So I mean, do you have both of the next two already planned out?
Yeah, I have them planned out right now, and I already started writing the third.
Wow, that's amazing. And do you think that you'll just keep the series going, or does the fourth book have a definite ending?
I think the fourth book will definitely have an ending because I don't want to draw out the storyline too much and like when authors might add a necessary sequel, like I don't want to do that. I want to try and make what it is and make it good and then move on.
Okay, fine. Do you have any like other ideas that you're kind of waiting to write after you finish this?
Yeah, I have some ideas, but they're like very vague right now.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I guess my first fantasy series was 4 books and the second was 5 books. And I like that too because sometimes these series get to be like 13, 14 books and I feel like they just kind of the storyline gets kind of amorphous and petered out and goes a direction that it doesn't even seem like it was planned in the beginning.
Oh.
What are some of the other series that you love?
I love Percy Jackson and The Hunger Games by Susan Collins. I really love their style and characters, and I really just love fantasy in general or anything that alters the modern world.
Okay, and so more like realistic fantasy set
Yeah.
in
hmm
contemporary times. Interesting. Have you read the prequels to The Hunger Games?
Yes, I have.
Okay, you're better than me because I started reading and it just seemed so dark that I couldn't read them. So were they lighter in the end than I thought they were going to be?
Um, so actually, I haven't finished The Sunrise and the Reaping, but I finished the other one.
Hmm.
Um, the the song, I think it was called the song.
Song of the Ballads or something like
Yeah, the Ballad of the Songbirds.
that?
Yeah, I really liked the twist at the end.
Okay.
It was kind of dark, but it was really good.
Okay, so it was worth it. I should keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. It for there, it just got really heavy and I was like, no. So in relation to your book, do you get heavy moments like that? Do you feel like your fantasy is as dark or is it a little bit lighter fantasy?
I think it's a little bit lighter since the target audience is maybe like 11, 14 years old, so a bit lighter, but there are some dark moments with some deaths and there's some sibling moments because Ling Ling and Lu, the siblings and friends of Cassidy, they're like at a moment like like get what I'm saying? They're
Okay. Okay. And how old is Cassidy when this series starts?
13.
13. Okay. So she's 13 and what time frame are you moving through? So is your first book, is it 6 months? Is there a year?
So the first book starts on November 13th, and planning to finish the book, like the story's time frame, around July. So it's
Okay.
about like 6 months.
Okay, per 6 months per book-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And is this written in a first person or is it written in third person?
First person.
First person. So you get
It's
that up close view. How did you decide to write in that person?
um I think that's what I've been reading at the moment, like Percy Jackson's first person. So I think I'm at the moment when I started reading, that was like the only kind of book that I knew of at the time.
Okay. Yeah, because it feels like epic fantasy will more typically do the third person, so you see all the
Mm,
characters, right? But then, right, you're right. When sometimes the contemporary fantasy is that first person.
mhm.
So what you said you like Percy Jackson, Hunger Games. Do you watch any of the shows too?
Um, Not really.
No.
No.
I'm thinking, when do you have time to watch a show, right? If you're going to school, writing, I'm assuming some other clubs in there too.
Yeah. Uh, what do I have? I had recycling club, student council, robotics. I track, and I still have flag football right now. Um, Drama club. Yeah, there was a lot.
Okay, so you do a lot then. Well, you seem to be really well-rounded if you're in sports as well as like drama and writing.
Mhm.
Fun, fun. Well, tell everyone where we can find you in your books.
So you can find me at hemieyao.com or any of my social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I just wanted to mention that there's a free ebook sale this weekend on Amazon from June 13th to June 15th. And don't worry, if you never read the first book before, you can start the second book. It can stand on its own.
Oh, interesting. So, I mean, it kind of continues them, but it tells its own story.
Yeah. Like I made sure to make it understandable if you start the second without reading the first.
Right. Yeah, that's a great thing to do. Yeah, I'm releasing my finale and I got a review. I wasn't too happy with it. I don't think they really understood because you really need the backlog. So, fun. Well, that's great. I will make sure to tell everyone that you have a free book this weekend and we'll get the news out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'll have you back next year.
I'd love that.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Finding the Magic podcast. I'm your host, author and podcaster Tricia Copeland, and I love getting behind the scenes. If you like the podcast, make sure to subscribe and stop in each week to discover new authors and books. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep finding the magic.